Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Leray. I'm the founder of the Spirit Guided Path and Death Doulas of Manitoba. And today I want to talk to you about how to work through grief when you feel you couldn't be with your loved one on time. So, this happens unfortunately quite a lot, where someone might be present for their loved one as they are entering the active dying phase, or even well before. You may have spent weeks or months caring, being either the primary caregiver for your loved one or simply checking in on them as much as possible as they got closer and closer to that time. And then all of a sudden they are in, maybe unconscious, they're getting close to active dying where they are preparing to transition from this world. And you might spend, you know, almost every waking moment, either, even sleeping beside them or being present as much as possible. And you might spend 18 hours out of every single day being beside them, caring for them, letting them know that it's okay, whatever they're going through, just being present and supporting them in every possible way. But then you go out and get some coffee, you go have a shower, you take a quick nap, whether you're gone 5 minutes or an hour, they die. And then you have to reconcile the fact that no matter how much you tried to be there, they died when you weren't. And as a death doula, this does happen. Unfortunately, I see this a lot, and people ask me all of the time, how do I work through knowing that I wasn't there? And what I have to share may or may not resonate with you. It depends on where you are at with your grieving journey. But generally, I find that sometimes there are some people that just need to die alone. And we have to remember they're not really alone, but alone in the physical sense. They might be ready to greet their loved ones in spirit. They might be just needing that space to take that last breath, to take that next step, because it is a big one. It's a huge transition, and they are generally very grateful for everything that you have done leading up until that point. You have been by their side no matter what. You have encouraged, you have advocated, you have done so much. But whether it's a personality trait or just part of their journey, they just needed to take that last step on their own. And all I can say is please don't take that personally. It can be very common to want to blame any of the myriad of reasons why you weren't there, whether it was a phone call that took you out of the room, whether it was an appointment that you had to keep, whether it was the staff wanting to talk to you, traffic preventing you from getting there in time, whatever it was. Please know that it's very normal. This happens a lot more than you might think, and it's nothing personal. They just needed to do that last part on their own. And this can be difficult to grieve. People can get really stuck in their grieving process because they can't get past this one part where they feel like they should have been there, that they absolutely should have been there, and they either can't forgive themselves or they can't forgive whatever prevented them from being there. But in my experience, this is common, and I would encourage you to forgive yourself for this because if they were able to do that last part with you there, they probably would have. And sometimes we feel like that's one of the most important parts is being there at that last moment. But really, often it's the being there in the days, the weeks, the months, the years leading up to that point. You supported them through everything they had to go through physically and mentally and emotionally, through the grieving they had to do as they were losing ability, mobility, and their quality of life. So don't hold on to that last moment because they just needed to do that on their own. And you didn't fail them. They're not holding that against you. If anything, I know that they would be asking you to forgive them for just needing that moment to do it on their own. And while you might not agree, you might believe, well, no, I should have been there. I absolutely should have been there. You were there in every possible way already. You were connected. You were close. You gave them so much of your time and energy and support. You did everything you could do. And this is a very natural part of your grieving journey for sure. And grief, of course, does not end. There's no finish line with grief. We learn how to integrate grief into our being, our lives, and we carry that energy, that feeling with us, and learn how to bring our loved ones with us as we continue our journey, even though they're no longer physically present. But all I can say is it wasn't your fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. If they had to die alone, this is time to forgive yourself and to forgive them, and to remember that you are very loved and they are very grateful for everything you did up until that moment. And so I hope that hearing this might alleviate some of that burden that you've been carrying, because you've done so much. You were there, you did the best you could, and for whatever reason, they just needed to do that last part on their own. So I hope that this offers a bit of perspective to whatever you've been going through. And if anyone has any other questions or anything that they'd like to talk about, I'd be happy to answer your questions about being a death doula, and being a spiritual medium, whatever you're interested in learning more about any of these paths and specialties. All right, thank you.